You can stand there. It's okay. No? All right, well, I'll forget you then. Okay. You want Crossy Road over here too? Here, let's do Crossy Road.
Find the porcupine.
Here's your Crossy Road. Yeah, leave it plugged in, please. Okay, and Crossy Road. Or should we? No? Okay. Because you got so many apps on the TV here, buddy. That's why it takes a minute to load them all. Here. The ocean blue. Okay. So, Siren Child. Remember where we left off yesterday? Okay. We got the walls back up for Jerusalem, right? Okay. So now we're in the book of Esther. Search for a queen. The book of Esther is a story of a young Jewish woman who risks her life to save her people. When the Babylonians capture Jerusalem, they take thousands of Jews back home as captives. Later, when the Persian king conquers Babylon, he frees the Jews. Many return to Jerusalem, but others remain in Babylon and Persia. At this time, the Persian Empire is the most powerful in all the world, reaching from India to Ethiopia. On the throne of Shushan sits King Ahasuerus. Maybe. For months, the king has been entertaining high-ranking officials of his realm. How much longer will this feasting go on? Until he has impressed all of his subjects with his wealth and power. Let's skip a page. Nope. So just that one page was added. Okay. Plot against the king. From Esther 2, chapter 11 through 3, verse 6. For months, Esther, along with hundreds of beautiful women of Persia, lives in the palace, waiting for the king to choose one of them to be his wife. At last, the king makes his choice. Esther, you are my queen. You are now my wife, queen of all Persia. I am honored, my lord. But Esther's cousin Mordecai is not invited to the wedding. You remember this from VeggieTales, right? He sits as he does every day at the palace gate, waiting for a chance. Worried about Esther. The queen of Persia is a Jewess. But only Esther and I know that. A short while after the wedding, Mordecai overhears two of the king's servants. Our plan cannot fail, Bigthan. No, by this time tomorrow the king will be dead, and no one will know who killed him. Mordecai quickly sends word of the plot to Esther, who tells her husband, "Who told you this?" Mordecai, he sits every day by the palace gates. He overheard Bigthan and Teresh talking. Investigation proves Mordecai's charges are true, and the guilty men are put to death. Mordecai has done me a great favor. It must not be forgotten. Write an account of it in the records of the kingdom. Soon after this, the king appoints a new prime minister. Haman, you will be above all the princes of my court. People will pay homage to you as they do to me. You have honored me very much, my lord. Oh, we're in Spanish tonight? Got it. Haman is very proud and enjoys having people bow before him. But Mordecai refuses to rise from his place by the gate. Who is that man who does not show proper respect for me? That's Mordecai, a Jew, and Jews only bow to their God. Mordecai will pay for this, and so will every Jew in Persia. Revenge. And you know your apple broke. And then your other Spanish tablet you threw in the pool. I don't have to tell you. Revenge from Esther chapter 3 verse 8 to chapter 4 verse 16. Angered because Mordecai will not bow before him, Haman prepares his revenge. There's a race of people in your kingdom, sir, who do not obey you. For your safety, they should be destroyed. Give me permission to make a law that will rid Persia of them. You are a loyal man, Haman. Here is my ring. Use it, seal, to show that your law is my law. Haman acts at once. Write this down and see that each governor in the kingdom receives a copy of it. Every Jew in Persia is to be destroyed on the 13th day of the 12th month. Those who kill the Jews may keep as rewards all the money and goods of the Jews they kill. Rude. The orders are written and delivered throughout the kingdom. Jewish families are terrified. Why? Why? What have we done? We have done no wrong. And wherever we go, there's a price on our heads. When Mordecai hears the orders, he dresses in clothes of mourning and pours ashes over his head to show his grief. From her palace window, Esther sees that something is wrong. Find out what's troubling Mordecai. The queen asks why I mourn. Doesn't she know that Haman's order means death to every Jew in Persia? Show this to her. Tell her she must go to the king and ask him to spare the Jews. The frightened servant carries a message to Esther. I go to see the king? Mordecai knows that anyone who appears before the king without being invited is subject to death. And I have not been called to see the king for 30 days. Now, more frightened than ever, the servant reports back to Mordecai. Tell the queen I understand her fear, but tell her, too, that perhaps God raised her up to the palace for such a time as this. After receiving Mordecai's last message, Esther prepares to go to the king. Bring the royal robes. I will go looking as a queen should. No, this could mean your death. Queen risks her life. From Esther chapter 5 verse 1 to chapter 6 verse 10. Queen Esther breaks the law by appearing uninvited before the king, an act punishable by death. The lives of her people, the Jews, are in danger, and she is the only one who may be able to save them. Esther, what does she want that she would risk her life to get? Surprised as he is by her sudden appearance, the king is pleased at the sight of his beautiful queen. He holds out his scepter to show that she is forgiven, and asks what she wants. I ask that you and Haman come to a dinner that I shall prepare for you. The king accepts. So does Haman, who is overjoyed until he leaves the palace. That stubborn Jew, he still won't bow before me. Well, he'll soon be dead, with all the other Jews. At home, Haman complains that Mordecai has insulted him. Don't stand for it, Haman. Build a gallows and tell the king you want Mordecai hanged. Then you can enjoy your dinner with the queen. I'll do it. I'll have the gallows made and go to see the king early in the morning. But that night the king cannot sleep. He calls for a scribe to read to him from the records of the kingdom. When the reading reaches the story of Mordecai, the king interrupts. Stop. What reward did he receive for saving my life? None, my lord. At that moment, Haman enters the court and is brought before the king. Haman, you're just the man I wanted to see. What shall I do to honor a man who has pleased me? I knew the king would recognize my services. Let him wear one of your robes and ride your horse. Then have one of your nobles lead him through the city, telling everyone that this is the way the king honors those who please him. Good. Get the robe and the horse and do exactly as you've suggested for Mordecai. Mordecai? But yes, sir. The unchangeable law. From Esther chapter 6 verse 11 through chapter 10. Angry and humiliated, Haman is forced to perform for his enemy Mordecai the ceremony that he had planned for himself. The ceremony over, Haman covers his head in shame and hurries home to tell his family. This looks bad for you, Haman. All is not lost. The king has signed an order to kill the Jews, and not even he can change it. Now I must dress to go to Queen Esther's dinner. At least she recognizes me. Later at the palace. Queen Esther, when you dared to come to the throne room, I think you wanted a greater favor than to ask me to dinner, didn't you? Yes, my lord, I did. What is it? I'll grant whatever you ask. I ask for the life of myself and my people. By the cruel plan of a certain man, we are to be put to death. Put you to death? Who would dare such a thing? Haman. Now, for the first time, the king knows that his wife is Jewish, and that Haman tricked him into signing her death warrant. In anger, the king leaves the room. Queen Esther, I'll do anything you say, only spare me, spare me. The king's servant knows that Haman is doomed to die, and he covers the man's head with a cloth. Haman built a gallows on which he wanted to hang Mordecai. And on the gallows Haman shall hang. Go, take him away. You shall have Haman's wealth for the suffering he has caused you. My cousin Mordecai has suffered too. Mordecai is your cousin? I'll put him in Haman's place. Second in power in all of my kingdom. With Haman out of the way, no one will dare to harm either of you. A few days later, Esther takes a second step in her campaign. If I have pleased you, I beg you to take back the order Haman sent to kill all the Jews. I wish I could, but according to Persian law, no man, not even I, can cancel an order that has been signed with my seal. But I can send a new order. The order is written and rushed to governors throughout the kingdom. Listen, the king says the Jews may arm to protect themselves, and that Mordecai, a Jew, has been made prime minister. The king is on the side of the Jews. You better be too. On the 13th day of the 12th month, the Jews throughout the Persian Empire gathered together to defend themselves. With the help of the king and governors, they are successful. At the palace, I've written an order that every year all Jews must celebrate the days when we were saved from our enemy. They should be days of joy and giving of gifts, and shall be called the Feast of Purim. The Feast of Purim is still celebrated by Jewish people throughout the world. A man with a message from the book of Isaiah. Things seem to be going well in the land of Judah, but trouble was on the way. In their hearts, the people were turning away from God. The rich were cheating the poor. And although the walls of Jerusalem were strong, there was always the danger of invasion by an enemy. In this time of need, God sent a young man with a message. He was Isaiah, one of the greatest of the Hebrew prophets. The call to become a prophet of God comes to Isaiah when he is worshiping the temple. As he prays, he sees a glorious vision. And there's a whole bunch of angels in the vision singing, Holy, holy is the Lord God of hosts. And he says, Oh God, I am not worthy to be in thy presence. I am a sinful man in a sinful nation. An angel touches Isaiah's lips with a coal of fire and says, Your sin is taken away. Then Isaiah hears God ask, Whom shall I send to speak to this sinful nation? Here I am, send me. For more than 50 years, Isaiah pleads with his people to destroy their idols and worship God. But only a few listen. He warns the kings of what will happen if they disobey God. But the kings ignore the warning. At last, Isaiah prophesies destruction. Because Judah has turned away from God, it will be destroyed, and its people carried away as captives. What is happening over here? Is there no hope for God's people? Yes, God will send a deliverer to save all who believe in him, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Prince of Peace. A call from God. From Jeremiah 1 and 2 Kings 22, verses 1 through 23, and chapter 29. Judah will be destroyed for disobeying God, the prophet Isaiah warned, but the people of Judah ignored the warning and continued their mad rush toward ruin. Then God called another prophet named Jeremiah to sound the alarm again. It's an exciting day for Jeremiah when he goes to Jerusalem with his father to see Judah's new king. Why, he's just about my age. I wonder what it would be like to have such an important job. Long live King Josiah. A few years later, Jeremiah finds out, for God calls him to an even greater task, to become spokesman for him. Oh God, I don't know how to speak so that people will listen. I'm too young for such a big job. But God promises that he will give Jeremiah the words to speak and the courage to say them. That evening, a wonderful thing happened to me today. God called me to be a prophet. A prophet? King Josiah worships God, but many of the court leaders secretly worship idols. They will make it hard for you, and you're so shy. The people of Judah are doomed unless they turn back to God. God has called them to warn them. The message Jeremiah needs to give his people comes to him while he is watching a boiling kettle. Invaders coming down from the north to destroy Judah. Will anyone believe me? He soon finds out when he tells the priests in his own town that Judah will be destroyed because the people have turned from God to worship idols. Who is this young upstart to tell us how to live? Let's get rid of him before he starts trouble. So, to save his life, Jeremiah is forced to leave his hometown, and go to Jerusalem. King Josiah loves and worships God. He will help me try to save Judah. For several years, Jeremiah and the king worked together to destroy idol worship. Then one day, Jeremiah hears some frightening news. The Assyrian Empire is cracking up. Egypt is marching north to grab what's left. King Josiah declares he will stop the Egyptian army from marching through Judah. Stop Egypt? Why, it's one of the strongest countries in the world. The king is making a big mistake. But King Josiah leads his soldiers out of the gates of Jerusalem and into the path of the oncoming Egyptian army. A broken vase. From Jeremiah 18 through 20, verse 2, and 2 Kings chapter 23, verses 30 through 37. King Josiah is killed as he attempts to defeat the Egyptians. Now his son Jehoiakim sits on the throne of Judah as a puppet ruler for Egypt. And once the idol worshippers begin their campaign against God and his prophet Jeremiah. O king, your father ordered us not to worship any god but Jehovah. And what happened? Judah is no longer a free country. Join us in worshiping our gods so that Judah will become strong like our neighbors. Jehoiakim agrees, and in spite of Jeremiah's warnings, many of the people follow the king's lead. Go away, Jeremiah. Nobody wants to listen to your far-fetched stories about Judah being destroyed. Okay, one more section. Surrender. From Jeremiah 20 through 36. Because Jeremiah has dared tell the people that Judah will be destroyed for its wickedness, the priests have beaten him and placed him in stocks. When he is released, a young scribe, Baruch, offers to help him. Come with me and get some rest. Rest? There's too much to do and too little time. Jeremiah is right. There is little time. News of the great battle is already spreading throughout Jerusalem. The Babylonians have defeated Egypt. We've been under Egypt's control. What's going to happen to us now? Judah doesn't have long to wait for its answer. Babylon attacks Jerusalem, and King Jehoiakim is forced to surrender. You may remain on the throne, Jehoiakim, but now you must pay tribute money to me. And to see that you do, I'll take your best princes as hostages. Within days, all Jerusalem sadly watches its finest young men be marched away. Knowing that the downfall of Judah is not far off, Jeremiah dictates all of the messages he has received from God. The people must be told that God is allowing Judah to be punished for its sins. Then, because he is not allowed in the temple, Jeremiah asks Baruch to read God's word to the people. You must see that the king learns about this. As the scroll is read to the king, he becomes so angry that he cuts it up piece by piece and throws it into the fire. Arrest Jeremiah and Baruch. Throw them into prison. That will keep them quiet. But Jeremiah and Baruch are prepared for the king's anger. Already they are in hiding. The king burned the scroll, but we will write another. While Jeremiah and Baruch are busy replacing the burned scroll, trouble is brewing in the palace. Why should we pay tribute to Babylon? I say let's stop it and use the money to build up our own army. Then we'll be ready if Babylon attacks us again. You're right. Those hostages in Babylon are not as important as all of us here in Judah. In time, word leaks out that King Jehoiakim is breaking his agreement with Babylon. Jeremiah is alarmed. The king's decision is against the will of God. No man can defy God. All right. That's where we'll stop for tonight. Okay. And your crossing roads? Yeah. Oh, silly, silly boy. All right. That's it for tonight. Oh. Dolly, can you say good night? Good night. Could you say good night? I'm going to get it out of him one of these days. Good night, everyone.